What's up, YouTube? It's James once again coming at you, bringing you some more information about what's what. All right, so as the title says, flat earthers. All right, so me and a number of my friends and roommates and whatnot have talked about this multiple times and multiple issues for both sides of the coin, if you will. As a Mason, I will honestly tell you this: it has never come up, even once, at my lodge or any of the lodges I've been at. Now, I haven't been at the other ones enough that I can say 100% for a fact, but as far as mine, nope, hasn't come up. All right, so some of you guys think the world is still flat. All right. There's merit to why and how I can see. I've watched all your videos online. I watched one guy even pour water onto a plate and say, "See, water is flat," and because it's on a flat plate. And then he poured it over an orange and said, "See, the water doesn't stick to an orange, so the world is flat." Now, probably not your best excuse. The best one I've seen was a homemade rocket somebody made, and they put a camera on it and they sent it up, and it got up so high, and then all of a sudden it did stop, at least according to the video, and then it was kind of sitting there spinning, and you did hear a thunk noise, and then they cut the video. Now, can video be edited? Can it be photoshopped? All that stuff? Yeah. Could it be true? It very well could be. The problems with that, I guess, for me, I don't even know where to start, really. So does that mean like it's like Spaceballs, where like there's a secret door somewhere that lets the aliens in and out? So you believe the world is flat, but then there's no aliens, or the aliens have the technology to go through this giant dome that we're on. That's for people who believe the Earth is flat and there's a dome. Some people just believe it's flat and there's no dome. It's all kind of things out there. Trust me, it's crazy. Not only have we proved mathematically that the world is round, a ball, you look at all the other celestial objects that you can see and that we have pictures of, they're round. But let's just say that those are fake too. What about the shadow that we cast from the Earth to the moon? That's also round. But let me guess, it's only that one angle. We're on the one side. We're on a giant nickel. I mean, even the one guy said that the water is held in place by the giant ice walls at the edge of the Earth. Now, if that was true, you telling me there's absolutely no cracks in there for the water to get out? And at some point in time, wasn't there no ice and the water should have got out? Or is there a alien wall at that edge, and then there's ice, and that's why the water stays in? Even if that was the case, how come nobody has actually seen this wall? No one's taken pictures of this wall. And I've even seen one where somebody was like, "Look at all the flight patterns and stuff. None of them truly go over Antarctica or Arctica, the North and South Pole. No one truly flies over." Well, there's a number of reasons why they shouldn't fly over. There's a ton of magnetic anomalies because of the torsional energy field that goes around the Earth magnetically. There's also weird anomalies that they can't still yet explain. And, well, let's just go into the theory of conspiracy and talk about how there's supposed to be a potential lost city, or the city of Atlantis has been talked about that could be there, and that there's been no-fly zones. If you talk to like Linda Howe and some of her very credible witnesses, they talk about huge holes in the ice up there. People have seen UFOs going in and out of them. People have flown over and gotten reprimanded by upper superior people because the aliens that we're in league with, don't want us flying over that area, and our people don't want other people to know about it. So there's a number of reasons, depending on what you want, including the Aurealis Borealis, the Aurora Lights. So there's a number of reasons why it's not good to fly directly over certain those areas. There's even anomalies in Alaska, which have the same reasonings behind all those reasonings, that they don't want people to fly over. So there's a number of reasons. But anyway, let's get back to the main stuff here. Okay, so one of the things I've been trying to think of is I like to look at everything from everybody's perspectives. Good perspectives, bad perspectives, right, wrong, all the above. It kind of gives you a better picture, of what's going on here. But you're right, the Earth does look flat. If you've never taken a basketball and looked at it really closely, it looks flat when you get really, really close to it. It's a small being on there. And I know they talk about the curvature of the Earth supposed to be what, every 7 to 25 miles or something like that. It curves a little bit. Well, the problem is that the Earth is hilly. It's there's almost no true actually flat surface almost anywhere on the world. It's like a huge, I don't even know how many facets you would say it has, but like an octagon has, all the sides. Okay, well, the Earth has tons of those sides and points and divots and ups and downs and valleys and creeks and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's not going to look perfectly round. It's not going to look curved. It's going to be a combination of both. But to say the world is still flat, I'm not doing this to get 1 million subscribers of all flatlanders and flat earthers and all that stuff, or the other. I'm just sharing knowledge that I have, that it's been in my head for a number of years, and this is kind of like my way of sharing insights. I've seen people share all kind of things on YouTube, some that they should really probably keep to themselves. Yeah. But they didn't, and they shared it, and I haven't seen it, so it has been shared, and so I'm sharing my info. I guess one of the biggest things I have, is that if the world is truly flat, okay, I'm gonna use this coaster right here. All right, so here's our world. You guys are saying it's flat, nothing on the bottom. It's just flat, and I don't have a marble around here, but all right. And the sun is now over United States. Goes around here, going past Africa, going over here to Australia, and then Russia, and Europe, and then back over, right? That's what you guys said. The Earth is on a giant quarter, giant nickel, whatever you want to call it, all right? Disc. Frisbee. Upside down frisbee with water in it. And you can see so far, and the world is so flat, right? These are their words. This is what they said. Then why is it if I'm here in America and I talk to my friend who's in Australia and it's completely dark here, but it's light there? That's one thing in itself. Two, how come I can't get on top of my house and see that the sun is still lit over here? That's just one of the biggest things. Or what about the shadows of the moon? When the sun is over here and yet it's casting light and it's hitting the moon, but it's not casting light where I am. If you've ever had a light source up high, and even over farther, you can still see the light. Right? Right? Okay. So, I don't know. It's just comical that there's grown people out there who still think that the world's actually flat. But in respect to those people, I can understand why, because it does look like it's flat from all you can see. When you're in an airplane, I've been in airplanes tons of times, it does look like it's completely flat. And yes, when you do use the different lenses up high with cameras, it still looks flat. But there is a tiny curvature to it because we're on a very large landmass. Okay? You can't, right now, I don't even know how to explain it, but unless you were even if you were on the moon, which is a smaller landmass, it still looks flat because it's still huge, even though it's a smaller landmass. If you were an ant on, what's a huge ball? I don't know. Let's just say a microbe. Let's say you're a microbe on a basketball. You can hold that basketball out here, and you're holding it and you can feel it, so you know it's round. But if you're a microbe, and even if that microbe took a picture from way high up, it still looks like it's flat because of the perspective. That microbe would need to be pulled way, way out into outer space, be zipped around the whole planet, or the basketball in this case, to see it, or get, can I use this word, ambiguified? I don't think that's a real word, but I'm using it. And if it's not used, then it's mine and all copyrights reserved. So ambiguify yourself. I'm just being silly. Enlarge yourself, and then grab the basketball, and suddenly you can see it's not a flat disc. But yes, your evidence, I will say, to the average person is compelling. I've looked at it enough that I researched a lot of that stuff and looked it up. And I'm not an expert. I'm not a guru. I'm just a man with a lot of knowledge about a lot of things, but not all the knowledge. Until I actually can get out there, I cannot say 100% fact that you're wrong. But with all the evidence in a court of law, it would say that you need to lean towards the fact that the world is round. Things are held in place. Water's in place because of gravity, even though gravity is a wave. Okay, everything is in a spectrum. Existence, life, death, the soul, air, light, color, all that stuff are spectrums, frequencies, vibrations. Okay, so the matter that we're on right now is condensed, and it is drawing other matter to its center. Everything is being pulled to the center. It's being pulled because in the gravityless outer space and universe, it doesn't have. Let's just say there's no. It's kind of a complicated thing, but let's just say in a standard area where it's gravityless, or what we have is like microgravity, on some spots out there. If you put matter there, it has a charge. Other matter nearby it, if it's out there, depending on the charge, is going to pull it towards itself because there's nothing for it to cling onto. There's nothing for it to push or pull out there. It's just sitting there floating. Well, after a number of this matter happens, it then starts pulling in more, larger matter. Why? Because of its charge, its energy, the frequency of it. That's what that particular thing is doing. Now, there's things out there that repel energy and push things away. But in this particular universe, in this part of the universe, and where we are right now, that's how the planet basically, from when it was a hot, molten thing and started cooling down, all that good fun stuff, still is pulling things towards the center, which is why we have some of the hottest and liquid metal insides to the core. And thank God we have it, otherwise it would be a different planet. And that's why we have that type of gravity. If you were to be in outer space, if you want to believe that we went to the moon, or we didn't go to the moon, when you watch the astronauts, and some people say that a lot of those things were faked, a lot of them say that they were just in zero-G orbit. But even if that's the case, whether it was faked or they really were in outer space, when they release a water molecule, or glob of water, dab, a little bit of water, it floats, undulates, but it all remains the same because of the energy contained within it, the frequency, the charge. These molecules want to stay together. They're in a better state when they're together. It's like a spider web. When they're disassembled out there, they will sit out there and float around, and then there's what Einstein, I believe, called was a spooky matter, spooky entanglement, where particles kind of communicate over a distance through some kind of unified field that we still don't completely know about. And maybe that's how they attract each other. Maybe it's because these are giving off the right frequency, this is the same frequency, and they hear each other, they're talking to each other. We don't know how much of matter is living or not living, is sentient, not sentient. So everything from even this coaster to, me, to the picture behind me, to whatever else, we don't know if this matter is actually living, if it's listening to us. To go deep with you real quick, like I talked about in another video, providing God is real and he's an energy being, he created all this. Even us, we're part of that energy. Is he still here? Are we still part of him? Did he give up himself for us? We don't know. We probably won't know until we get to wherever we're going to go when we leave here. Ghosts and all that other stuff, spirits, orbs. We'll talk about that in another video. But anyway, the Earth is not flat. It looks flat in spots. It looks flat from even high up above. But in order to get a full spectrum of it, you need to be really far away. And even from those alleged pictures from the moon, it's still, then we're looking at it like this, and it still looks flat because of the perspective. It's hard to identify that something is circular when you can't observe it from the proper distance or tool. For instance, we assumed years ago, this is within my lifetime, we didn't know if what size and structures the atoms were. Now, sharing some Masonic lore, like I said before in another video, I talked about how so above, so below. So there was theories that, yes, the small structure, the atomic structure is, circular and, just kind of like the heavens. So it was up there, so it is down here. But nobody knew for sure. So within our lifetime, we've discovered that, yeah, these particles do look like that. But that also takes a super powerful telescope. Micron, was it micron? Or electron scope, electron gun, something like that, to actually see them. And even then, it's more like shadows that they're seeing. So they're still not being able to hold one in place because it's vibrating and shaking all around. So we see the shadows of them. And we've got to the point where we can see some structures at that atomic level, and we can see that they are, in fact, circular. Some are complicated depending on the type of minerals or whatever else, but the actual deepest part of it, the actual atomic structure, electrons and whatnot, do resemble circular objects. So continue to prove me wrong by going out there and finding more proof that the Earth is flat. And if you do, and I see your video, I will call it out. I will give you credit and praise, and I will change my theory and belief if you find actual proof. So the only person I know of who can do this is probably like Japan, Korea, Russia, and Tesla. He's rich enough to send a rocket far enough away they can take a picture and show it live going around the world. So I'll tell you this, some of those pictures from the live station where it shows the Earth, I'm going to kind of call maybe on your work, NASA. Never a straight answer. Because who's taking those pictures? Just like the Mars rover, who's taking some of those pictures? Because you've released some pictures, you messed up. Where there's whole pictures of the rover, and not from another rover that's on another distant part of the planet. Who took those pictures? If you look in the picture, yeah, there's some of them that are done from the arm, but then there's some where you can see the arm, the camera, the whole orbiter itself, and you don't see the arm and you don't see the shadow of the arm. And it's not photoshopped. I mean, or is it? So if you want to say you photoshopped the arm out of it, but then the arm is still in the picture, come on, man. I'm not 7. People aren't that, well, I guess some people do fall for it and never paid attention to it. I look at things like that. It's kind of a thing. So there's that. And going back to the station, same thing. What satellite is taking these pictures? Sometimes you've mentioned it, but sometimes you don't. And even the ones from the station don't show any other satellites flying by at different heights or levels. You don't see any planes. And I know, yes, they're up high enough where you're not going to see a lot of that, and they have to avoid certain things. But there's also no space debris. You guys always talk about we can't launch. There's too much space debris in the way, or we have to move the station to get out of the way. I'm just saying, it looks a little sketchy. You don't see a lot of things in those videos, the small details. You still don't see any stars and lights in the background. Well, you see, the stars are so far away that the cameras don't really focus on it. I can be looking at my friend's house at night, and even with partial clouds and average eyesight, still see stars. And even with the pollution of the city's lights and actual air pollution, can still see it. Now, I'll grant you, the human eye is better than any camera they've made thus far. But keep up with your Photoshop skills. Renew your license, we'll just say. Also about the station, while we're on it. So I know you guys got solar panels, and that's how you guys get a majority of your power and stuff. But how come none of the space stations and things, how come none of them have crashed or come down? Because they're in a very slow decaying orbit. Awesome. Okay. My next thing would be, how does the space station maneuver itself out of the way of space debris and things of that nature? You'd have to have fuel. You would have to have regular fuel, burning fuel, because that's all we have here on Earth is fossil fuel burning type technologies. I mean, yeah, we're starting to get some like ion engines and things of that nature, but those also still require power. And those stations were built before a lot of that technology was there. So how are you maneuvering the station up and down, left and right as needed? There was a guy on YouTube who actually brought this one to me, what I'm just talking about. And then when he actually looked into the dimensions and then the fact that like the amount of radiation that's still up there and the shielding with the station itself, he called one of your engineers, and he didn't have, and that part could have been fake. I wasn't there, so I'm not going to vouch on him, but he did bring up a lot of interesting questions. You know, how are you up there? What was it composed of? Look, you know, how long does that protect you from radiation? You know, I mean, thin gold does help, but lead is thick lead. I mean, think about it. Think about this. There's more radiation out there than there is at your doctor's office. Okay, higher up in that, you know, the up near the the outer edge of the the atmosphere, up where you're in like the where satellites are. That I can't think of the actual orbit layer that is in. So I apologize. But there's tons of radiation out there. It's one of the reasons why getting past the the Van Allen belts and whatever else has always been an issue, because of the levels of radiation and the protection and micrometeors coming through and hitting the station and all this kind of stuff. You know, we don't hear about any of this stuff. So is it not happening, or is it that the station's not really up there? People go, oh, well, there's an app that tracks it. Yeah, okay. That doesn't mean it's really there. Get a telescope. Take some pictures of that. Put it on YouTube. Tag me in it. I want to see it. I want to see your pictures of the station on your telescope flying by. Put your name on it. I want to see it. Now, what NASA does, I want you to prove it. So go out there and prove me wrong. But anyway, so even from up there, yes, the world does look flat. There's a slight curvature. Yes, they talk about the fisheye lens and different lenses and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's the thing. So evidence, math, tons of people, even ancient Masons, all had, ancient globes years ago and stuff, whatever else. And really, the entire world, everyone knew the world was round, except for a lot of people who came from Europe who were talking about the world was flat. Your people who Christopher Columbus got money from to prove that it wasn't. And then they proved that it wasn't by sailing around it a lot and ending up in areas where they didn't expect. So, but like I said, if you want to believe it's flat, that's awesome. You're entitled to your opinion. It's YouTube. But it's not. And until we can prove that there is a wall, fly your plane. Fly your plane to the edge of the world, take some pictures, personally, tag me in it, bring them back, and I will gladly take this down and anything else I have that is pertaining to a flat earth or the lack thereof. So, all right, everybody, thanks for your time. Once again, just coming at you, dropping some knowledge because, hey, knowledge is power. And the more you have of knowledge, the more power you have. So, all right, that's about it. Enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you later.